What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Stella Rae Herself podcast. How are y'all doing today? Before we get started, or honestly, wait until there's a moment in this podcast that you really connect to if you're about to listen to the whole thing. Screenshot it, post it on your story, post it on Twitter, tag me so I can retweet, repost. I love saying who listens, and I love when y'all just like DM me relating or adding on to something that I said in here, because y'all know, like, I don't say it all the time. I should say it more. I'm just a random bitch, and these are like my thoughts and things that I've been thinking about, like, and I just think that's cool that other people can connect and relate and like, oh, I've been thinking about that too, or like I was learning about that, or like whatever. You know, that's what we're here for. I love that. So thank you guys so much, because it wouldn't be possible without you. Oh, I feel good today, honestly. I feel a little like disheveled right now because I feel like I need to crack my back. But I have my Dunkin'. And bitch, it is Sagittarius season. I am so relieved. No offense to all the Scorpios out there, because this Scorpio season, like this 2020 Scorpio season, it was good in a lot of ways. A lot of self-reflections for me personally. But bitch, I just felt like it was so heavy. Like, yeah, I just feel like it was really emotional, and, you know, that's probably just a combination of it also being a pandemic and it also being winter and daylight savings, and it starts getting dark at like noon, basically, and you know, just everything. But I feel like I've kind of adjusted now, and I don't know, I just, like, even with new lockdown stuff and whatnot, I just kind of feel like good. Like, let's just get this over with now in the winter, so that hopefully by spring or by summer, like, it'll be less stressful and just like everything, less cases, less fucking hysteria. Honestly, I think more people should be a little more stressed out, because how many Friendsgivings did I see on IG over the weekend? Too many. Too damn many. Anyway, yeah, so last night, or earlier this past week, should I say last week? I'm recording this on Monday. I mean, I guess I normally record on Tuesday, so it's not like it really matters, but this is going up on Thursday. So last week, LA County did a new, I think it was just LA County, I don't think it was the whole state of California, but we have a new curfew. So I think from like 10 to 5 or 6 a.m., you have to be in order to be outside, you have to be a essential worker. And then on Sunday, they announced outdoor seating is closed, which I think is good, because honestly, like, it was not social distancing. That is a scam. Like, I get it's probably better than indoor seating because you have that fresh airflow, but come on. The tables are like this close together. Like, you really think this? Yeah. Anyway, like, I don't have a problem with that. And, you know, I read the thing that if these restrictions are really affecting you, like, you need to kind of be thinking about why that is. Why are you trying to deny it? Like, I don't know. I just feel like, I don't want to say I've accepted it, but I just feel like, let's just get this over with. Like, come on. Stop inviting me out. Like, stop. And I was tweeting about this, but I don't get how, especially all these celebrities, like, I think it was like Kendall Jenner's birthday last month. Was that last month? I don't know. Forgive me. All these celebrities, like, have no problem posting their, like, birthday parties and events, and, like, it's like, first of all, you're doing that, but then also just, like, you're posting it. Or, like, when Kim Kardashian was posting all her, like, birthday stuff, like, oh, I think I already talked about that, or maybe, I don't know, it was already talked about enough, like, I'm not gonna really go into it, but just, for me, it's like, first of all, you're doing that, but then you're also, like, posting it publicly, like, you know everyone's gonna see that, and you know how people are gonna react, so why? Like, you still feel like you need to flex even when you know it's not gonna be received well. Like, I just don't get that. Anyway, shout out to all the Sages out there. I feel like I need some fucking water. Anyways, shout out to all the Sages out there. We're going to be reading some excerpts out of this astrology book, which I will link down below. The only astrology book you'll ever need. I don't love, but I feel like, you know, if we're talking about, let's just describe a Sagittarius, there's obviously like the key points. I just find that it's very basic, and I honestly think you could probably find better information just online. Honest review. Most likable trait of a Sag, optimism. Sagittarius, so you know I'm an optimist, okay? Who are some iconic famous... Well, first of all, can I just say, I love a Sag because it's also a fire sign, and I feel like I can't think of a Sag that, at least that I knew they were a Sag, that I've ever had beef with or like gotten bad vibes from. Like, I feel like I always, like, me as a Leo, I just always love being around them. I've never liked a Sag though. I've never been with a, I've never been romantically attracted to a Sag. But as far as just like, I like having you at this event, I fuck with you. Whoever, like anyone, I can usually like, I'm usually like, are you Sag? I just fuck with the vibes. Like, they just really get it. And it just makes sense for me as a Leo. I posted on my story, like, what's the tea of a Sag? I love doing that because people have such mixed responses over every sign. Like, obviously, we all have different experiences. But it's so funny to see all the people that, like, get it, that, like, relate, and then you either get it or you don't. And then all the people that are like, never. Oh my God. I just love a Sag. Yeah. So some iconic Sages, Snooki, I think is the perfect example of a Sag. Like, even if you don't watch the show, even if you've never watched Jersey Shore in your life, you probably can just like tell, because like, oh, she's a party girl. But even like, that was like why it was so fun for me to watch that show. Me talking about Jersey Shore in every podcast and every vlog. But they were like all water signs except for her and I think Ron. But they were all water signs. But she's just always so like down. Like, if I'm on 100 different things right now. If y'all watched my 21st birthday vlog, I'm interviewing my bro. I'm like, so you're a Sag. How does it feel to be a down ass bitch? And I still stand by that. I feel like Sages usually are just like down ass bitches. And that applies to anyone. They're just down. Like, they're like, let's do it. Like, very enthusiastic. Again, very optimistic. Very just like, yes. I love a Sag. As a friend. Okay. Sagittarius is energetic, ambitious, generous, freedom-loving, and a seeker of challenge, open to new ideas and exploration. Their planet is Jupiter, the most important Roman god, ruler of the heavens. In astrology, Jupiter is the planet of good fortune, optimism, expansion, and abundance. So, stereotypes about Sag, they party, they like to travel, they want their freedom. You know, people say, oh, it's hard to like lock a Sagittarius down. You know, they're not gonna want to be in a relationship. They're gonna want to do whatever. Polarity Gemini. Dude, you know who I always think of is Adam and Lena. Like, they're a Sag and Gemini, and it's just like, it just makes sense. It just makes sense. And a couple people said that on my Instagram, not a poll, but like my little Instagram thing as well. Like, it's like a Gemini, but less crazy. And honestly, you're not wrong, because they are like opposite signs. Like, I love a Gemini too, until I don't. Independence is your guiding principle. You are progressive, restless in spirit, eager to get on with the business of living. A free, adventurous spirit who thrives on new ideas and constant change of scene. Wanderlust. Sagittarius, like its opposite sign Gemini, wants to know. But whereas Geminis are happy to sample a new idea, Sagittarians will follow it as far as it will go. It symbolizes the search for wisdom, and it's the sign of the philosopher and the explorer. It just makes sense. Miley Cyrus is a Sag. Who else is a Sag? Nicki Minaj. Young Nudie is a Sag. Jay-Z is a Sag. All these are people that are not relatable. Sorry. So as far as how Sagittarius season will affect us all, this is from Refinery 29. This Sagittarius season will feel like a breath of fresh air, something we all need. Honestly, literally, because I feel like with Mars retrograde, Mercury retrograde, Scorpio season, a pandemic, bitch, it's just like, it's been a lot. We'll all be feeling happy and hopeful for at least one reason. After a long, exhausting year, we're more than ready to turn over a new leaf. I know you guys have heard me say it before, but I just love the end of the year. Even though I love the summer and I love Leo season, and I feel like that's when I really shine. I love Scorpios. You've heard me say this a million times. I love Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn season. You have your deep reflections and then you feel optimistic, like, okay, we can do this. You know, I feel like I know what I need to do now. And then Capricorn season comes and you like put it to work, like making your resolutions, like let's make a list of stuff we got to do to achieve this and let's do it. And I just always feel like, even without astrology, that's just kind of what the end of the year and then the beginning of the new year, a lot of people feel that way just because we're wrapping shit up and we're starting something. I didn't even mean to say that. That's so funny. So, oh my God, there's an eclipse. Freedom is the theme. You may feel strongly that you want to cut ties with any person or thing that seems to hold you back. The next sentence. Break up with your partner who voted for Trump. You should have did that. You should have done that before. It's okay though, you still have time. Yeah, so there's like a few other things, but generally, like, you know, just like, oh, there's going to be this planet doing this and this doing that. But generally speaking, I feel like we're going to all feel a lot more optimistic and just better energy. Like, Scorpio season was just a lot. And also I feel like October was the longest month and November seems to have gone by like this. Like, in my mind, it's still November 3rd. And it's not. Bitch, it's December next week. So what I personally am going to do is journal about all the stuff that I was thinking about during Scorpio season. I feel like for me, it was just a lot of like reflections of just this past year, as well as maybe things that those events remind me of, like taking it further back than just 2020. And I'm just, you know, I'm gonna ask myself, what did I learn from this? What stands out to me now, and why does that stand out over other things that happened? And honestly, I'm gonna personally start to think of some goals for 2021. And I kind of realized, like, I can set goals and have them be personal in a sense of, like, be more honest, or, you know, there was something, set more boundaries, be more clear about my boundaries, stick to my values. Like, those are things that it's not like a pandemic is going to affect that. It's not like travel more or see more cities, you know, it's like personal things that you can actually practice in your everyday life. Or like even like read more books. Y'all, we're getting to that. But that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. So let me know how you feel about Sagittariuses, even if you have beef with them or you have had beef with a Sag. I do think that this season will just be good. And just hopefully, if y'all stay in the fucking house, it will be, okay? Y'all, I'm so proud of myself because I'm actually reading this book. I have less left than what I have read. Does that make sense? Why does he do that? And I talk about this in my vlog, but it has been pretty easy to read just because it is a lot of lists, and some stuff I feel like I can just kind of skim through. I feel like in general, I'm just reading this book as kind of like a precaution, though I have definitely had experiences, like, and especially just actually reading like what certain behavior is. It's like, oh, that's what that was, or like whatever. It's not like I don't know. I feel like this book is kind of directed towards people, or especially women, who are trying to get out of an abusive relationship currently, or just got out of one, or are still like dealing with it. And I'm just kind of reading it as like, I just want to know, you know. But it's definitely, I would still recommend it. And yeah, it's just very informative. Some of the key points, though: abusers are far more conscious of what they are doing than they appear to be. However, even their less conscious behaviors are driven by their core attitudes. And I just think this kind of, I don't know how you would call it, but just, I guess, the idea or the fact that an abuser is always like doing what they think is right. Is that how I want to word it? Like, in the sense of they're not going against their values. And the author of this book talks about how he, I guess, works with abusive men and so he has a lot of information of like what they say in like group therapy and like what goes through their heads. Cause a lot of them are like regular, like, you know, I think there's a lot of misunderstandings out there of like, oh, you know, there's something wrong with them in the head, or like they have an addiction, or like, oh, it's from their childhood. And this book kind of proves a lot of those theories wrong, or at least like corrects them. And the short answer to that is like all those things can add to someone like an abuser and how they act, but it's not the core reason of why they act like that. So anyway, back to they're not going against their values. So they'll be like, well, like they'll basically convince themselves and therefore convince people around them that know about what's going on. Like, well, she deserved it. Or like, well, I was defending myself. What was I supposed to do? Or, well, I didn't like punch her. I just hit her. Or like, I would never put my hands on her. I would just like emotionally and verbally, like, I think it's really interesting to just learn about how, I want to say almost how human this behavior is, in the sense of like, you know, you just want to think of someone as a monster, but it's like, oh, they're actually like, it's like they think that they are like not going against their values and their morals. And it almost makes it more scary because it's like real. It's not just like, oh, they're a villain. It's like, it's just like, it's crazy. I feel like I can't really go over all of this just because there's so many different categories, and it's like I feel like someone would have to ask a specific question about the book for me to answer it. But I will say that I would recommend it, like, even if you're single as fuck right now like me. Like, I still think it's just good to read, to have the knowledge of what these behaviors look like, so that, you know, when you do start dating again or whatever, you can catch the red flags early on. And they kind of tell this classic, you know, the classic tale is like, what is the saying though? Like, the devil isn't gonna come to your doorstep like dressed as the devil. And just how in a lot of abusive relationships, it's so scary because, you know, they look like the perfect partner from the outside, and like your friends will, and your family and your neighbors and just like other people in your life will be like, oh, like he's so great, like, and so then it makes you question your own sanity or like judgment even more, because no, you know, you're not only being manipulated, but then it's like all the people around you are like affirming the manipulation. So you're like, what the fuck? So I just think it's good information. I'm definitely going to finish it. And I feel like this is something that you can kind of like read quickly and then go back to if you are like thinking about something specifically. Unless, of course, you are like actually going through something. I don't know. I just find that it's like, okay, well, this isn't really relatable to me right now, but at least, you know, I have the information and I can always come back to it if need be, bitch. Knock on wood. Like, this, honestly, sometimes reading this, it's like, I never want to talk to anyone ever. And like, that's not the point, because not everyone is abusive, but it's still just like, fuck. So yeah, point being, I would definitely recommend. So kind of similar topic, kind of different, but I had this realization because I was watching Jersey Shore. Literally, I'm not kidding. But you know, when it's like, I feel like we're taught from a young age, like, oh, girls will catch feelings after sex, but guys won't. And it's because of our hormones, and it's just biology. And then it's like, be careful, bitch, be careful who you sleep with, because you will have a soul tie with them, and that is the closest you can ever be to someone, and they will be a part of you forever. A TikTok of a girl saying that came up on my For You page, and I was like, are you serious? I thought you would know me better by now. I've talked about why I think that is bullshit. Oh, damn, my camera's gonna die. I knew that was gonna happen. Sorry. But I had this realization, you know, we're taught that, I'm going to say as women, just because that applies to me. But we're taught as women that is like, basically our fucking vagina is the most important thing about us and should be like guarded, and like, be careful who you let, like, you, just all this like fear, like, you will have a soul tie, like, be careful. Don't, and even to the extremes of like, don't have sex before you get married, don't have sex outside of a relation, like, unless you're in a relationship with that person. Like, just all this fear and all this, like, I want to say, like, putting it up on a pedestal. Respect yourself. So what if, like, I know there's like hormones get released, but also don't those hormones just get released if you orgasm? So what if it's like, you know, we have all of, even if it's like consciously we know that's fake, we have all of this internal like dialogue or all these subconscious beliefs going on of like, I need to respect myself. I can't just like have sex casually, or like, that's dirty. I need to respect, like, so then when we do have sex with somebody and then they're not treating it like, oh my God, this is like, wow. It's like, what if subconsciously we're like, I gave you this important thing and you're not treating it like how everyone said that you should. So I'm hurt by that. And I'm like, why don't you want, like, it's almost confusing. And I feel like especially when you're younger, like, it's like, oh, I let you have access to this and you're just, now you're not going to reply to my text, or now you don't want to be with me, or now like you're less interested. So it's like confusion and like maybe shame as well, because it's like, well, I guess I was wrong for having casual sex, or I was wrong for letting this person hit. Maybe I should wait, and, you know, maybe I should only give this to someone who, you know, loves me. I was like, oh my God, what if that's why? Because like, guys don't have that, and then guys aren't taught, protect your sacred flower. I hate the soul ties thing, bro. Like, not only is it so, I said this before, like, I know I've said it before, but I can't believe I saw that TikTok. Not only is it so dismissive of people who have like victims of assault and people who just have had like shitty experiences, but it's also just like, it's just false. You don't have to count anybody you don't want to. It doesn't matter. Like, it literally doesn't matter. Stop. You wouldn't say that to a man. It's just like, do what you want. Have the sex that you want and you will be fulfilled. If for you that means, you know, only having sex with people that you really like, so be it. If it means only when you're gaining something out of it, like a bill paid, bitch, period. If it means, if it's just like, I like to fuck, period. Like, I just feel like it's so different for every person. So for, you know, this fucking idea of like, respect yourself, it's like, that's gonna look different to everybody. For some people, respecting themselves is just like being monogamous with one person forever. And some people, it's like, I like a little flavor, and it's like, do whatever, but it's like, mind your own business. What's the lesson here? You gotta dig a little deeper, because we all have internalized misogyny and I feel like we all are gonna slut shame a little bit unless we catch ourselves and unlearn that shit. And this girl, RIP to the camera, it literally died, like shut down. This girl said we either have to actively unlearn, gender roles and unlearn just these systems that we've been taught, or we just have to accept them and live them out. And do y'all remember when I said something like, paying on the first date, or just paying on a date, like, oh, I want to be independent. And it's like the guy isn't coming to the table with that same mentality. And I think that's what I meant. Like, if you're coming from it from a point of view of like, no, I don't want these traditional gender roles, like I don't want to live like that, but the guy is coming to it with like traditional gender roles, and it's like, oh, you're gonna pay for me, and you're also gonna cook and clean, and you're also gonna do all this emotional labor, and you're also gonna do this and that, you're also gonna look pretty for me, pretty by society standards. It's not like they're also coming to the table with like, yeah, I want to destroy gender roles. Because why? Like, I feel like a lot of guys lie about that, but then also a lot of guys are just not with that because patriarchy literally benefits them. So like, what's the incentive unless they're just like lying on the timeline to get bitches? Like, bro, I'm just like, fuck, no more learning. I don't want to learn about this anymore. It's just making it hard. But it's good. It's fine. It's good. Like, we gotta unlearn this shit within ourselves. And it just makes everything a lot harder, but also a lot, I feel like you're aware of a lot more shit, but then you can almost deal with less shit because I don't know, I just feel like at the first red flag now, I'm like, bye. Like, this guy was texting me and said something like, why are you single? You must be crazy. I was like, oh. I kind of got the vibe that, he would be the type of guy to say something like that, but then he said it and I was like, wow. Just like stuff like that. It's like, okay, instead of being like, oh no, I'm not crazy, like, haha, I'm not like these other girls, it's like, okay, well, now I know you're the type of guy that hasn't learned about this at all, is very closed-minded, is very, just to put it nicely, is very traditional in his beliefs. So now I know, we know we're not gonna vibe. So, boom, it's over. On to the next, Or I think I said this before too. I've probably said this many a time. But like, if a guy calls you a whore or like a slut, instead of being offended by that, even though sometimes it can still hurt, just because it's like that nasty ass energy, and it's like, again, we all have it internalized a little bit, so it still might hurt sometimes. But you have the knowledge of telling yourself, of letting yourself know, this doesn't have anything to do with me and how I live my life and my actions. This is about him sticking with this is about him upholding misogyny and patriarchy and him in my business, first of all. And it really has nothing to do with like me, myself. It's like he's just trying to think of the most hurtful thing possible. It's like, is that really... I feel like if you use that as an insult these days, you honestly look dumb. Like, it's like, do you read, bro? Do you click any article? Like, have you opened a book? When was the last year you opened a book? Knowledge is power. Even though, I really feel sometimes like ignorance is bliss. Damn, I wish I wasn't self-reflecting all the time. But it can be practically helpful. Like, I mean that, like, it can literally be practical. It sounds like, oh, hopefully you have a better future. It's like, no, it's like literally if someone says some shit, you can be like, hey, that's this that I learned about. That's not right. Or like, I disagree with that. Or I'm not going to let that hurt me because I know it's kind of empty. Boom. Wow. We did that. So let me know your thoughts on any of this, y'all. That's kind of all I have to say, to be honest. I didn't even drink my coffee. It's so sweet. But yeah, I can't wait to read all of your comments. Thank you guys so much for listening, for watching, for following me on TikTok. And I will talk to you guys in the next episode. Love y'all.